the hard work that goes into being a patient and trying to find our treatment nowadays. So this is my story. When I was first diagnosed with mesothelioma in 2009, I googled the word. As I've never heard of the disease, only the word asbestosis, I got a shock of all the depressing reports and write-ups as there seemed no hope. I did turn to the Macmillan site, but that was so depressing as well. I turned to Facebook and completed a search which gave me so many lawyer sites, but I did come up with Debbie Brewer's Facebook. This led me to a wonderful community of patients around the world called the Meso Warriors. Debbie and I became friends, and together we raised more groups. I started the Q&A page so I could ask all the questions I needed, and there are other groups for other needs, like articles where we place all new trials and news, so we can always be ahead and up to date. Blogs where warriors can tell their day-to-day stories of their fight, and also a Meso Warriors and Carers group, because we forget the carers. Poor old Ray follows me everywhere, and understand the diseases as well, so we get help where we need to cope. Individual groups that are secret, which each member can put their personal thoughts and stories and share with their own friends and family. Even a tears page for the partners that have lost a loved one, so they can share their lives afterwards. It's amazing how that helps them in so many ways, informative on post-mortems and wills and the day-to-day help to live again. This has all become so successful that the whole world has joined in, and we have members from America, Australia and Canada and many other countries. We learn from each other how the world copes with the disease. Also, we fight for the ban of asbestos and how to cope with it in buildings. Take 5 Stay Alive campaign is run by the British Lung Foundation, and I've made a video for them and became their centrefold in their magazine. Dressed. Sorry. ADAO Linda Reinstein is our United States group. The Bernie Bantam Foundation, run by Rod and Karen, are our Australian group, and even Asbestos Training Group, IATP, to help us keep watch with the trade. So you can see we are a global group. So I have a pathway. You're given a pathway, and this is mine. I have mesothelioma, and I was diagnosed in 2009 when I couldn't breathe. I've been to the GP with a numb and twisting arm. The GP diagnosed a trapped ulnar nerve and made an appointment for me to see the specialist at the Kent and Canterbury. In the meantime, my hands were getting very claw-like, and my right arm, which I held out, was pulled to the left. I wasn't really convinced, so I went back for a second opinion and saw a locum, who sent me for an appointment for an X-ray. That appointment came through in about 2 weeks. On June the 4th, I went to vote, and I was struggling for breath. And I did make it to vote, and I came home. But that afternoon, I had a call from the GP to say he'd arranged the bed. So please go now to the K&C and you have a shadow on the lung. I learnt later the locum thought I had a huge mass. I was seen straight away by A&E and admitted, where I had 7 litres of fluid drained. The next day, I had a bed in Victor Ward, and I was told my fluid would be tested for cancer cells. I was asked if I had worked with asbestos. That didn't surprise us. I said no, but my husband has. We had lost so many friends with mesothelioma, although we didn't know that was the name, just lung cancer. A doctor told me he suspects I have mesothelioma, but that the test would confirm it. I had to wait 3 days in a bed. The results came through, but I was on my own. I couldn't take it, and I asked if he would wait until visiting time and talk to Ray as well, and he agreed. When Ray came in, I was calmer. We discussed mesothelioma and what might happen. During that brief discussion, it was confirmed I had this mesothelioma, a lovely word for a deadly disease. The prognosis was that I would have 3 months to live, and at best maybe a year. A devastating bit of news. But they think I should go home and wait for a further appointment, which I did, and on 12th of June I had the appointment. And at that appointment I was told the pleurodesis operation would be carried out, which is a puff of talcum powder go in, and that sealed everything up. I had a date phoned 10th of July to go to Margate for an MRI scan. This showed the fluid building up again. July the 22nd, I saw Miss King in her clinic, and she was pleased to have me up at Guy's. July the 31st, I had the pleurodesis off. August the 4th, came home dazed and confused. August the 6th, district nurse came in to change drains. August the 19th, results of the biopsy, defo mesothelioma. An appointment for chemo arranged, and the team arranged round me. September the 9th, drain came out, and September the 23rd, kidney function test. September the 29th, tattoos for radiotherapy for the 2 wounds from the porthole in the bile. And then September the 31st, radiotherapy. Let you know how it all rolled on, and very quickly. I don't think I waited around too much. I think it was great. All ready for the chemo, and my oncologist, Dr. Commonos, gave me cisplatin and a limiter. We won't talk about the sickness, but it did get shrinkage. This worked for 15 months, where I lived a normal life, until the dreaded day of regrowth. I immediately said more chemo. To be honest, I wish I'd waited, but I don't think you'd have convinced me at the time, because then I might just be now on 4th line, whereas I'm not on pastoral there. I tried for the Adams trial, and I had a bile, and there wasn't the arginine present. That took 9 months of travelling back and forth to London to find that out. But I was offered the NGRH-TNF trial at Maidstone. Only after a few short weeks it was stopped, because I'm afraid it did not work for me. It was still growing, so placebo. So after only 2 sessions of cisplatin and a limiter, which I became allergic to, I looked like a little lobster. But it did work, and we had stable again for a while. Then growth was found on my next scan. I was asked what would I like to do next. So as there were no clinical trials or new chemo. That's frightening. I'm not used to a doctor having no answers. I emailed JS up at St Bart's on the Monday, and by the Friday he had me in his surgery. I was in an appointment where Peter offered me the last chance on the Adams trial, but it would mean another bile. Unfortunately, my tumour didn't have the arginine, so I didn't think it was worth it. And not only that, more time was passing, so I panicked. But he threw me a lifeline, suggesting I try Gem Carbo. I could have that in my local hospital. So once more, back to Canterbury, and I told her what I could have. I can't get over it. And I was on chemo on a 21-day cycle from March to September. October scan was bad news. The chemo had not worked. All that chemo, all those 14-day appointments, and all those intermediate checks, and it hadn't worked. But the tumour is not rampant, so I said, as it's a slow grower, let's wait. A scan every 3 months, though, was showing the growth of 2 millimetres every 3 months, and I wasn't happy. But there was nothing more to offer me, only palliative care. I got right behind the Saatchi bill and worked with Lord Saatchi and the doctors, and I was in the House of Commons on the day that he launched his Saatchi bill, and I was very proud to be sitting there next to him where he asked me to sit. I had to find an answer. I'd always had to search for my treatment, and the hours spent Googling, searching through trials.gov, I wish they would centralise all the information for the oncologist and a patient, so that we'd be able to see what was around for us all. I'm not used to a doctor saying, what would you like to do now? There is no more treatment we can offer you. Why does a doctor in the south know more about treatment available than a doctor in the north? And I believe my patients are told, oh, chemo will make you so ill, go home and get your affairs in order. You've got to give us hope. Don't do that. Because there's some poor people out there that could probably benefit from chemo, but not all hospitals will try it. I was told to sort my affairs with a prognosis of 3 months, offering no hope. When I was at a meeting in Parliament with Prof Dean, he advised me, why didn't I look at Marsden, the Royal Marsden? I asked my oncologist if she would refer me, and she was over the moon. I have this week started on a phase 1 trial. It isn't for meso, but this trial, MK3475, is a drug being tested as it blocks the interaction of a substance called PD-L1 with a PD inhibitor. They have looked at my biops, one in Guy's and one at Homerton, and I had and it's all systems go, because I had what they wanted to find in there. What I'd like to see for the future, when you have to pass on bad news, please say, we just palliative care 3 to 6 months, but if you have chemo or a trial, if you are suitable, that could be lengthened. Give the patient more hope. Patients do read my blog, and I give them that hope. I would like you to have the freedom that the Saatchi Bill will bring, to be untied from the red tape and to be able to carry out trials nearer to our homes. Why every time I ask about a trial, I'm told no, when in another hospital there are trials going on? But I have to research and find out where. The amount of travelling I have done you wouldn't believe, and are very costly both in time and emotion. The pharmacists should work with the chemo departments too. Better may be that a continuous working through dinner hours ready for the 2 p.m. session. We have to wait, and it's then a 3-hour session that goes on top of that, so we go home in late evening. When the oncologist books an appointment with the patient, she can also demand an appointment at the same time for a scan, so that the request doesn't sit in a basket for 2 weeks, waiting to be processed. And we patients are sitting at home, seeing the wigs go, and knowing that she won't be able to see us because she hasn't got results. I would like to see a national database where your local oncologist has access to trials and may be suitable in other hospitals instead of us researching online. I have no negative comments against doctors or nurses who have worked tirelessly to treat my cancer with passion and concern. I hope my efforts in making the world aware through my talks, meetings in the House of Commons, and my highly successful over 200,000 hits on my blog and my webpage, and my recent interviews in London for the media, having reached 35 million plus, has gone some way to show you how proud I am of our hospitals and of our cancer treatment. And I have given back. I hope I have given back in a way to say thank you, because I've survived 5 years. And I'm the first one down there in Kent to have survived 5 years. Now it's the Royal Marsden's turn, and I started the trial on Monday. There's been a lot of awareness raised with the Emmerdale soap, as Donna has been diagnosed. There was a lot of very confused youngsters on Facebook who didn't understand why such a young person was diagnosed. Questions about asbestos were raised, so I was pleased I could answer them and put them right. I'm a bit disappointed at the cops and robbers storyline, making it look like if you have meso, you live this glamorous life of sex and violence. I can assure you my life of a grandmother with meso is a lot calmer than that. And however they portray it though, in the months to come, awareness is the wonderful thing, and that's where I will never stop until I drop.